really is on the tools, technology and tactics and modern music marketers use to turn data into actionable insight, which for me is often a massively overlooked kind of piece of the puzzle. You know, how do you turn your data and your raw numbers into something that's interesting? So we're going to dive into that tonight, and we've got some amazing people on the panel. So what I'll do is I'll flick through the guys and ask them to give a brief background and history of kind of your company and how you work within the music industry. And then if you want to talk a little bit about what your day-to-day is like as well, just as an introduction, then that'd be great. So Nadia, if we start with you.
Sure. First of all, thank you a lot for inviting me today for this panel discussion. I'm very excited to share my experience with so amazing audience. TikTok is an entertainment platform, which mission is to bring joy and inspire creativity. TikTok's biggest asset is its unique community. I firmly believe that TikTok is a community where everyone belongs. It's an inclusive platform that encourages users to be their authentic selves while finding a diverse community that has similar interests but may not otherwise see. For example, doctors or nurses taking a break during their shifts to let off some steam, be candid, or educate. Celebrities being themselves and letting their guard down. Brand new artists posting about their journey in launching their music and seeing it taking off. Building on this, in terms of discovery, for every voice there is an audience. For example, to build on the music example, since it's so much inbuilt in our DNA, you can have a bass or piano player in their basement working on a song and they get quickly recognized by the community. And then later on, seeing professional musicians reacting with encouraging videos. And the creation loop can go on and on and on. This is the kind of rewarding experience that can work together when you are creating videos or just leaning back and finding them in your feed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nadia. Very exciting to have you on this chat, especially with TikTok being so prevalent and interesting within the market at the moment. Parker, it'd be great to hear from yourself. A little bit of a background and history of your company and how you work within the industry, and what's your day-to-day like?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. So my name is Parker Reyes. I'm the head of music of a music automation marketing tech company called ToneDen. We're known for, we basically are a fan acquisition tech company. On the organic end, we help artists in the music industry gain a fan base through various kind of value exchanges. That's kind of what we're really well known for. But the biggest thing that we've recently really developed out in the last year is our marketing tech platform. Essentially, we rebuilt Facebook Ads Manager to where artists and labels and distribution companies and anybody in the music space can run advertising campaigns on Instagram and Facebook and Google. And with that kind of structure, we were able to create templated campaigns that your expert level marketers would have ran on Facebook. But instead of the user having to learn how to market correctly, the machine, which is ToneDen, can do that for you. We're also connected to this backend as a Spotify API. We have a chart metric integration. We essentially have made it really easy for an artist who's really good at their craft, or a manager who might be managing several artists, to be able to grow those fan bases really easily and effectively. That's what I do in my 9 to 5, but outside of that, I'm actually an artist manager myself, and I ran a marketing agency for record labels and artists. And I'm basically in it just like everybody else in the music space, managing 4 clients in the electronic space, all touring, signed to various labels, and I also co-own a label with one of them. So I'm able to, because I'm in the front line, I'm able to direct on product and basically have relationships with all the record labels and distribution companies on the ToneDen end for us to be able to build something that actually matters to people in the music space.
Amazing. Parker, I'm totally fangirling now because I run a music marketing agency, and we use ToneDen, and it really supports the campaigns that we do. Like the Spotify growth playbooks and the Instagram follower playbooks are a bit of a game changer.
Thank you. I love that.
Love to come on to that later. Lars, up next. So it'd be great to hear a brief background history of your company and how you work with the industry and what your day-to-day is like.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for inviting me on the panel. I think this is an amazing opportunity. So thanks a lot. Hopefully I have something clever to say. So my name is Lars. I actually don't have a background in music. So I have a background in IT. I founded a company called Linkfire together with my co-founder 6 years ago. And today we're a little bit similar to ToneDen. So we also do links and build links that we can artists, labels, distributors, and so on can use for marketing their music. Our focus a little bit is to bring as much data back into our platform, so deliver as much full funnel insights as possible. So anything from the first click to the last click. We also focus a lot on trying to attribute data, so giving some clarity to something that sometimes is very complex. Sorry, I'm just getting a lot of inter-room admitting. So I'm just going to remove that. Today we're headquartered in Copenhagen. We have 4 offices around the world. And typically in the beginning, we primarily work with major labels and bigger indies and distributors and so on. And then 2 years ago, we started working with artists and labels directly, or more smaller labels directly.
Amazing. Lars, that was very clever. That sounded very clever. So I'd love to start with you, Nadia, if that's okay. I've got a couple of questions around, I guess, quantitative data is obviously massively important. And we know that, I guess, the likes of Chartmetric and TikTok and Lars at Linkfire collect lots of quantitative data. But I also want to talk about qualitative data. So why is qualitative data important in marketing? How you use that data to understand audiences and then user behavior on platforms like TikTok.
Yeah, let me just give you a little bit more of the background on my specific role and the team where I'm working first. So I'm a part of marketing science team, and marketing science team where I work basically is a part of global business solutions organization, which builds partnership with advertisers showing unique value of our platform. In our team, we have 3 main pillars: measurement, data science, and research and insights. And I'm leading research and insights team for Europe. Our team is working on both ad hoc studies and analysis of internal and external data sources. And this work allows us to better understand the nature of our platform and our audience. Of course, music, one of the most important pillars in our learning agendas. My latest project, which I was conducting in a direct collaboration with Warner Music and 7 Stars Media Agency, highlights that TikTok affords music the opportunity to be a crucial part of the creation experience. Moreover, the study has allowed us to identify that TikTok often features as a starting point in the music discovery journey, and then TikTok is an important source for music inspiration that has strong call to action. So as I'm a stronger believer in qualitative research, especially when it's blended together with some quantitative data and studies. For instance, in this music thought leadership research, which I've just mentioned, we conducted the study in the form of qualitative research, which with the use of ethnography and individual interviews. Ethnographic studies allowed us to observe TikTok users' behavior on our platform, specifically in regards to interaction with music, and also build a holistic understanding of what our users' overall music journey. In the follow-up interviews, we discussed with our users their music-related behavior and experience in more granular details. In the study, we have also observed how TikTok users create videos on our platform and how they approach music selection for their videos. In the result, we found that music sound provides the most important amplifying effect to the idea of the video. One of our users has said the following about music on TikTok platform. Music in TikTok always goes in relation to the video and associated with what you are watching. It's much more interactive, unlike other apps. And this is the beauty of qualitative research, that you can really build in-depth understanding of some topics, like in our case, understanding all the role of music on TikTok. But this study is not the end of the journey. Right now, I continue working on this project, conducting a quantitative study with the use of questionnaire. This follow-up quantitative research is designed to test the main hypothesis, which we built together with Warner Music and Seven Stars Agency based on the qualitative study. And I'm really looking forward to getting these results and discussing them with the broader team.
That's really interesting, Nadia. And I suppose after carrying out that research, you talk about how you discuss that internally with the team, but I'd love to know how you then go and explain and show that data to artists and managers and kind of other key external stakeholders. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. I think storytelling is definitely the main approach that helps me to communicate complex data and research results to a diverse audience, both within TikTok and to our partners. This is where qualitative research results help a lot. I believe that no number is better than a consumer story behind it. Working with so diverse TikTok audience and in so diverse region like Europe, I also love to highlight in my stories some unique experiences or ideas which I learned from my audience. In my presentations, I also make sure that the video or different parts of our audience is represented. Why, for instance, showing videos in other languages and highlighting only English subtitles, or highlighting some niche holiday which is celebrated by some part of our community. And music actually is a great example for this. This is with so many local genres and unique interests. Music is an amazing means to communicate across very diverse groups. And this is exactly what we see on our platform.
Amazing. And if it's okay, actually, Parker, I'd love to just skip to you here for a second, because you mentioned you work directly with artists. So I'd be interesting to know, when you're fed this information from the likes of TikTok about kind of audience preferences and targeting preferences, how you then go on to use that effectively. And it'd be really interesting to hear about where you've worked on an extremely successful campaign whereby you've received data and maybe you've used that to great success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at data, there's just so many data points that it's overwhelming at times. And to know what data points actually matter, it comes down to what we're trying to do at ToneDen is take all the data points from a marketing campaign, for instance, and only show you the things that are actually actionable. Being able to know if a campaign's actually doing well or not, you don't need to see everything. You only need to see a few specific things to know, well, I need to make some changes on the targeting. I need to make some changes on the creative. Typically, when you have a marketing campaign, it's either the targeting is bad or the creative is bad. And you can see that by data points like click-through rate, for instance. Click-through rate's a really important metric. It's showing you how many people look at an ad and how many people actually end up clicking through that ad. For a specific campaign, we have baselines, right? And to be able to know if a campaign's doing well, we try to educate our customers on, hey, like this number is a bit lower. Because this number is a bit lower, you probably want to change the creative and alter, or maybe even change the part of the song that you're using in the advertisement. Or if they make those changes and the number still not where it should be, then they can kind of play with the targeting until that number is hitting the baseline to where, okay, cool, now I know this campaign's running. Now I can start to flood this campaign with more money or more capital, so that I can scale it out to actually hit as many people as I want to reach my goals. And another big, important part of data is goal setting and figuring out your digital footprint as an artist and your health, quote unquote, health as an artist. Knowing that Chartmetric, for instance, wrote this amazing article on trigger cities, which basically based off of where a city is in the world, the way that culture consumes music is different, right? And there are certain cities in South America and Southeast Asia that these people consume music and share music a lot more than people in the United States or Australia. And knowing, for instance, if you look at your back end for Spotify for artists and knowing that you're over-indexing in these territories, that's a telltale sign that, wow, you might actually have something here. Because if those cultures are accepting you and starting to play and share your music, you might actually have something here. And if you're smart about packaging that data in a deck, or even like any way to make it look nice, you can put that in front of a record label or an agent that's hey, where should we tour? What do you think we should tour? You can get that data and create a whole plan on the touring end. You can create a whole plan on the marketing end. If I'm starting to take off in a major trigger city, Mexico City, running an ad campaign and putting a large percentage of the budget into Mexico City could be a good move, because that's a big trigger city. And if you can figure out that kind of foundational structure and replicate it in all the trigger cities, you'll be off to a really good start. At that point, all you need is capital and money. And if you build a case, you can end up getting that capital from a distributor or from a record label, or even from an investor, which a lot of people are starting to do nowadays. That's kind of the short version. The second question was a marketing campaign that I worked on, correct?
Yeah. So how have you used, potentially you've looked at Chartmetric or someone's provided some insights, and then I'd love to know about maybe a success story about how you've used that data to run, a really successful marketing campaign for an artist.
Yeah, you can look at it as an individual like single release or album release campaign, but when I think of campaign, I like to think of all of it. It's like, how do I get an artist from ground zero to getting signed to a record label? And data is so important because you need to know that your money's actually moving the needle. You don't want to spend 50 grand on a music video and not have any money to market it and hope that it'll take off on a viral level. And a few years ago, I worked on a young pop artist who happened to have a pretty nice situation going for him. But with the capital, what we did was we essentially figured out all the levers in the marketing creative angle and positioned the capital for each one. So on the marketing level, okay, so what did we have to do to grow him on Instagram? What did we have to do to make sure that he was hitting his stream counts on Spotify and Apple Music? Each platform has its own strategy. If you can figure out all the strategies and run them all consecutively with the right amount of money put into each thing over time, and you continue to release music, make sure you bring people on the team, which is what we did with him. We had a strategy for Instagram growth. We had a strategy for independent playlisting. We had a strategy for organic, making sure that he's regularly posting on Instagram and his different social media platforms. And this is kind of like more of a holistic, high level view of everything. But the reason why I'm going in this route is because the more refined that machine is for an artist project, the better and the quicker you'll grow. And it's also something to note is like all of this information is on the internet. It's insane what the internet has done for the world. And you can search on YouTube how to do anything and how to create ad campaigns. And the beauty with ToneDen is, if you have an artist coming in that might not have a lot of budget, what ToneDen can do for them is be able to build that machine for them while they can focus on the music and just basically pump money in that campaign so they can either start to grow quickly on Instagram, which is a very important platform, TikTok as well. We do have a TikTok growth playbook, something you didn't mention earlier, Alex. And all these campaigns are iterations, are very, very similar iterations, but the only difference is where we're sending them and the type of person we're hitting. So for the TikTok growth campaign, we're hitting TikTok users on Instagram that also like similar artists and sending them to your TikTok page. And it's the same thing for Instagram, same thing for Spotify. And the reason why I'm going into these different iterations is because if you have budget and you set up a campaign for each of these social platforms and you regularly put content into these social platforms and you just spend over a year and you continue to release music and you have this machine built, you'll start to really grow as an artist. And what we did with that pop artist is we had all of these machines working consecutively and synergistically to where all he had to do was put music out and the machine was running itself, and then he would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually we flipped someone from who had like 1,000 Instagram followers to, over a period of years, 70,000 Instagram followers, over like 20 million streams. And that we ended up basically turning that into like $250,000 distribution deal.
Wow. That's amazing. You mentioned the Trigger City article. I think anyone should go and check that out on the Chartmetric blog. I think that has formed a lot of the conversations, or informed a lot of the conversations that we're having with independent artists. Yeah, really interesting. And Lars, thanks for that, Parker. And Lars, I'd love to come to you because I know that Linkfire are almost kind of the king of the quantitative data. You collect millions of data points probably daily. But I'd be interested to know about the qualitative side for you as well. We know you collect quant data and you use that effectively. What about the qualitative data? Why is that important in marketing? And can you give any examples of how you guys carry out that qualitative research? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, there's no shortage of data. There's no shortage of data points. And it's really a matter of figuring out what is the most actionable for you or for your campaign. And so typically, when you're sitting and looking at a Linkfire or Chartmetric or in ToneDen and so on, you should have a strategy at mind, and then you should kind of figure out what is your tactics to obtain those objectives for that strategy. And then you need to start looking into past performance, what's happening, what genre is trending here, what artists, similar artists are trending where, is there trigger cities, what's the actions, what's the tactics I can run with here. And then what we try to do, whether or not you call it quantitative, or obviously it's there's a lot of numbers, but in the qualitative matter, I mean, you need to look at what are some of the channels that you're using to promote. So you need to stack them up against each other and look at, does it work the best if I promote on Instagram, Facebook? Where does most of my traffic come from? Where does it perform best? Which DSP or shop does it perform best? You also need to look at time of day. That's how is it performing and so on. So, and really we consider it much as so you do all your prepping work to begin with, and then you start getting into action mode. And really the tools that you use and the data that you look at should be kind of like a control panel, so that you can react. The last thing you want to do is spend too much money 7 days in a row and then figure out that you didn't perform. So you really want to be on top of those things. And so I don't really know if that's what we call qualitative data, because we don't sit and collect like survey responses and so on. But qualitative data in terms of gender, age, country, even cities and stuff like that, super important for you to get the maximum effect out of it. But even stuff like time of day, channels, activities, like for example, you need to figure out whether or not it's the YouTube card that works, or it's the YouTube bio description, or if it's in the comment section. So you can go as granular as you want, and that really adds that extra dimension to like fully optimizing your campaigns. I don't know if that answered your question at all, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it did. It's really cool. But I think also, whilst I've got you, I'd love to get a comment really around kind of the future of the music industry. So I know that you've launched, I think it was the artist bio links, to create almost the microsites for artists, whereby they can create almost their own marketing ecosystem. And we're seeing businesses like fan circles, whereby they're almost adopting an OnlyFans model, where they're creating their own artist communities. But I guess I'd love to know what you think the future of the music business looks like. Diversity and personalization and crypto.
Yeah, okay, that's spanning it a bit broad in terms of crypto and so on. I mean, obviously there's a lot of topics there, but if we just stay within what fan circles are doing and kind of say micro communities, I think that is a trend we'll see more and more, that artists or a group of artists will build their own communities, whether or not it's something that they own themselves, or whether it's in a I don't know, wherever it could be on fan circles. I think we'll see that more and more, controlling your own audience, controlling that ecosystem. It's because the landscape is changing all the time, and if you give too much control over to someone else, let's say, I don't know, Facebook or something like that, and their algorithm changes or something changes or becomes more expensive and so on, you're starting to lose that control. And what we'll see as well is that we'll probably see also that artists and marketing in general will start going back to the basics a little bit, like looking at email addresses, phone numbers, and so on. Some of these more reliable things that in their nature doesn't change that much. And really what I talked about that yesterday as well in another talk, is like really now we saw here the other day that there are like 60,000 songs being uploaded to Spotify, like every day. How do you break through the noise? Like, how do you stand out? Like, are you gonna go for the major charts, because that's very difficult, or are you going to find your own audience and then be the queen or king there? Like, it's really what you have to figure out.
Yes, so interesting. And I'd love to flip that question actually over to Nadia, given that Nadia, you're working with TikTok. What do you think the future of the music business will look like? And it'd be interesting to hear what that looks like.
I think TikTok has changed the way how music gets discovered and how consumers get their music inspiration. So I expect this trend to continue being strong in the future. And also TikTok will continue being a place not for only for mainstream hits to go viral, but also a place for entirely new undiscovered genres, local artists, and catalog music.
Brilliant. And then Parker, could I also ask you that question? What do you think the future of the music industry looks like?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but with the internet, artists are able to connect with fans directly, direct to fan communication, and that changes everything. You know, back in the music industry, in the vinyl days, like the record labels controlled so much because they controlled the distribution of the actual music. You know, the actual printing of the vinyls, and they had the relationships with the actual stores that sold the vinyls, and so like the record labels had a lot of power. But now with the internet and with streaming services, if you understand the strategy of having an artist project and being able to reach people at scale and if you get really good at that, you have situations where you don't necessarily need a label. You don't necessarily need anyone at that point, you know? And I think the future of the industry is going to look a lot more separated. You know, the power is going to be coming more to the artists and less to everybody else. You know, I feel like streaming services are always going to be a thing, but I think the power is shifting, you know, and it's interesting, you know, with distribution deals now becoming so popular, where, you know, with major record label deals, typically the major record label would take, you know, 85% of the project, like any money that comes in for like an album, for a stream, the record label would take 85% and the artist would take 15. Now you have distribution deals where the artist takes 80% and the distribution takes 20, and they offer label services, which is essentially what a label will do, like market, pitch the song to DSPs and stuff like that, which means like that's just a perfect example of how the power is shifting to the artist and away from everybody else. So I think that's going to continue to happen. People are going to continue to start. The amount of people and colleagues that I know who started a record label last year is ridiculous, because people are realizing like, whoa, I can do this myself. All I need to do is figure out how to market, find a really good creative director, and continue to release music and figure out a relationship with the DSP, either through the distributor or through being diligent about creating a relationship with an editor or a person higher up at a DSP. And you know, TikTok, you know, you have massive tech, social media tech companies like TikTok, to where like you can run an influencer campaign on TikTok. And, you know, I've seen people spend a lot of money on influencer campaigns on TikTok and nothing happened. But I've also seen people really hit it out of the park and make a record explode and everything takes off. And knowing how to do all that and owning 80% or owning your masters and giving 20% away to a distribution company gives you a lot of power. So I'm pretty excited about the future. And yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It does. And it is exciting. I think you're exactly right. Giving that power back to artists is absolutely critical, I think, especially, you know, within the streaming and the digital world. And like Lars mentioned there, almost authentic, back to the old days of, you know, D2C, collecting email addresses, having WhatsApp groups. I think that could be a really interesting space whereby people, start to create some impactful things and go back to old school methods. But so I think we're going to open this up for a bit of a Q&A and some questions. So I'm not sure where I find the questions. Christine, do I hand this back over to you or Susanna?
I can take over from here. No problem at all. Hold on one second. All right, let's see. Do we have any questions? Let's start off there. Look through the comments a bit. I am not seeing any. Oh, I have a hand raised. Let's see. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead, Muyo. Can you ask your question?
Yeah. Hi, Lars. So I have this question for TikTok. In trying to optimize my campaign budget, especially on ads, so I wanted to find out, is there any time or any plans in the future where TikTok is looking at rolling out peradventure pixels that would, you know, that I could track on to see landing page activities of the fans, especially on the DSPs. So that's been really something that has been eating me up. Instead of just tracking click-through rates that they might not eventually stream, but pixels that actually pick up the landing page activities. Yeah,
Thank you for your question. Yeah, there is a lot of work happening right now in our team. We, of course, building everything from the ground, and there is a lot of work happening in enhancing our toolkit in terms of the measurement. So I think it's work in progress. I heard that there are some initial steps taken in this direction. So we're definitely improving our capabilities toolkit on this. So I would advise you to follow the news on our official pages, and I think soon you'll get more updates on measurement as well.
Amazing. All right. There's one more question here I'm seeing. So they're asking about, what do you guys think is going to be the biggest genre growth? You were talking a lot about independent artists and things like that. Do you think that's going to change the landscape of what the biggest genres in the world look like?
I can say about what I saw in my recent research on TikTok. I found out actually that there is a lot of interest in singer-songwriters, and consumers really are willing to discover singer-songwriters on our platform. So I see a lot of opportunities in this area on our platform.
Amazing. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when it comes to fashion, when it comes to music culture, things are cyclical. You know, things come back into the mainstream in a 20-year cycle, and I feel like just based off of that knowledge, I feel like rock. I'm more of an electronic music fan, but I feel like live rock and roll is going to have a really big resurgence, and also because of the state of the world and politically everything that happened over the last few years, you know, punk rock, that kind of anti-establishment feeling of music is going to come back hard. These are just general ideas that I've thought about, but I feel like those two genres in general are going to really start to have some moments in the next 10 years.
As a rock fan, I love that. So I'm also with you. I think with COVID coming back, COVID going away, people are going to want to get as close to each other as possible again. Lars, you put your hand up there and say something about genre.
Yeah, so what we're seeing on our platform, and also what we've seen like recently, Spotify is now moving into 85 new countries and so on. So what we'll see is at least from like kind of a Western music industry viewpoint, we'll start seeing, you know, new genres popping up. You know, we'll start seeing you know, Nollywood, Bollywood, K-pop, J-pop popping more into our kind of music sphere. We're seeing a lot of K-pop acts as well. We've seen the whole Latin genre like completely surge, you know, like a dominating many of the US charts now. And I'm quite sure we'll see with like there's so many talented artists, you know, in areas of the world that we haven't heard about. And as the big streaming service now becoming more and more globalized, they will also have a platform that is like opening up for us, you know, for us to enjoy. So I think we'll see more of that, and that's amazing. So I think like you can add that there'll be multiple subgenres to rock. You know, there'll be the Indian version of it, the African, the Latino version of it, and so forth. So yeah, I think we'll see more of that, and we are seeing trends in our data that's happening as well.
Love the this trend of diversity in music and diversity in the people working in music is something that has rang true through this all day today. So let's love hearing that answer as well. I think we have time for one last question here. I'm assuming this one's probably mostly a Nadia, but I think you guys can all probably chime in. What are your thoughts about paying influencers to create TikTok dances and challenges and things like that? Is it effective? Does it come off as too inorganic? Maybe even how do you do it the right way?
Yeah, there is, again, a lot of research happening in this area as well. What we see is definitely that creators on our platform, they are very authentic, and users on our platform appreciate discovering new products, new ideas, new music from creators on our platform. So they're definitely considered as aspirational figures. And I think this inspiration is coming from the way how they communicate on our platform. And definitely authenticity, creativity, and joy are the key ways which enable creators to communicate more effectively.
Great. Does anyone from the Parker or Lars, do you guys want to chime in on that?
Yeah. There's a way to do it to where you can actually make a record go off if you do it right. Finding the hook of a song, creating a dance out of it, having an influencer do that action, and then seeding that same dance out to a bunch of micro influencers, and having the goal of doing that is to have their audience basically love what they just did and then replicate it to create a viral moment to where the song that's used in that challenge actually rides the virality of everybody doing the challenge over and over again. I've seen people spend a lot of money on these campaigns and it not work, and I've also seen people spend a lot of money on these campaigns and break a song. So it just depends on. It's really hard to manufacture virality. There are ways to do it, but I think depending on where you're at in your artist career, if you're smaller or developing or even in the middle, like I wouldn't spend the money there. There are other ways that are more practical to spend the money. But if you're big and you're like, I have a bunch of money to spend and I really want to try to do this, then it can make a lot of sense.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, guys, we are at time, so I'm going to let you guys go. Some of you guys are already in the Slack channel, so some people we're still seeing more questions come in. So maybe some of those questions could get answered over in Slack. But I really appreciate the time, guys. This was a great panel. People are talking in the chat about how insightful it was. So thank you so much, guys. And everyone else, we have about 3 minutes before our next session. So we'll run away really quickly and we'll see you back here soon. Thank you again, guys. Really appreciate it. Parker, Nadia, Lars, and Alex.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Christine. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Alex.
Cheers. Bye, guys.